Hello friends, welcome back to the craft room. I am really glad that you're here. We finally have some sunshine today, which feels good. I loved having so many days full of rain. It was just so wonderful, and my garden is going to explode any second now. We did a whole bunch of seeds this year, and there are sprouts everywhere, and I'm so excited. We call them seed babies. So in case you wanted to know my realm of weird, that's what it is. But I'm so excited to have the sun back. In that video yesterday, which you can tell me was either lame or cool, you can be honest with me. I asked about some patterns or things that you would like to make. It can be quilts, but I was also thinking it would be fun to make like a bag. And I'm thinking for me like a big old summer tote bag. Would that interest anyone? Ultimately, you guys get a big say in what we make because you're the ones watching it and creating along with me. So let me know if some things that maybe you'd like to make, quilt patterns or not, and maybe we'll wrestle through them together. I can't promise that I'll know what I'm doing, but I promise I'll make a video about it. Okay, so this is what I wanted to work on today. I have a lot of flannel scraps because I use flannels for all of the backings on my quilts. So I just have scraps and scraps of flannel, and I'll show you the bucket. And I'm only showing you because it's a little dose of real life, and I think it's funny, and I think you'll think it's funny too. But I have done a full flannel quilt before. This one is flannel. And I just did like the hexes. So super simple. This is one of the first quilts I did. And this was before I realized that quilting the entire quilt was actually necessary. So it's falling apart in a lot of places. Like, there you go, right there. You got a little pocket right there. And I 100% need to fix it. But every time I set it aside to fix it, my kids steal it back. So we're just going to let it ride, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So I really like the weight of this one. But I don't want to do something like a hexagon or triangles. I find that most flannel quilts are like squares or triangles or hexes, just like a basic square. And I was like, can we not do piecing with flannel? Like, is that like a no-no? So, me being me, I was like, let's piece some stars out of flannel. So these ones are flannel. And it stretches like crazy time. But I actually think they turned out pretty good. Points are hard. Holy cow, points are hard. So usually you get the 1/4 inch seam allowance, right? I'm having to do like 3/8 seam allowance. So just like a little bit bigger to adjust for how the flannel just, I don't know, reacts to what I'm doing to it. Maybe this is like morally wrong for flannel. Let's go look at that scrap bucket. Like I said, I think you'll think it's funny. Let's go check it out. Hello, room. Oh, you're going to see the really not so glamorous side. Here's a little sneak peek of the room. Okay, let's put this down and hopefully it's not a weird angle. This is new, right? But at least you get to see all the cute bolts. We need some more pinks. Okay, this is the scrap bucket. Okay, we have scrap pieces, like I said. So this is just from the mulberry quilt. I just showed you that one. Here's some more of those flowers. Okay, but here's the funny thing about this quilt bucket. Like I said, it is just flannel and batting scraps from all of my finished quilts. But I don't dare throw anything away. But I don't make table runners, so I don't know what's going to end up with the rest of this. But this has been tucked away under the table just because it's a good storage spot. There's a TV on the wall right here. My kids now sit in this bucket, so that's why there's a pillow in there. And this is like a lounge chair now for when I'm in here sewing and they want to watch TV. So this just cracks me up because my husband keeps saying, let's rebuild your table and I'll put shelving in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, more shelves sounds good. But where am I going to put the bucket? The bucket. And the kids are like, no, don't get rid of the bucket. So it's just kind of funny. Ooh, that would be a cute one here. That one would be a cute one. I don't think purple would go. But I just thought this was funny. And I was going to pick all this ahead of time. But I thought, no, I'll show them. I have no shame. You got to do what works. Let's see. So I have a lot of rainbow flannel left over. So I bought it by the bolt from Riley Blake, this rainbow. And I still have about 3.5 yards left on the bolt. So it's not enough to do a backing, but it is enough to do as a background fabric, you know? So, like I said, I don't know if it's legal, but I'm doing it. There's some cute green stripes. That might be too white though, because we've got rainbows, and then I have a blue stripe that I showed you. I don't know. Let's try it. I don't know about that one. We'll see. Anyways, okay. I'm not going to spend the whole time digging through that, but I just thought I'd show you. I thought it was funny, and now I've messed up their bucket. They're going to have to fix it. Whoops, sorry kitties. Kind of fun. Isn't that a happy sight? Look at all that fabric. So I told my husband, I said, if you really want to build some shelves, then you can build me some more bolt storage, because I just have bookcases right now, and I'm actually outgrowing the bookcases. So that's bittersweet. And there is more fabric on the way. I'm pretty excited for all the new stuff to come in. So we've got this teal. We've got this one. This is just going to be a bright, happy, kind of random nonsense quilt, which are my favorites. So, and those are usually the ones that my kids love the most too. So let's cut up some of this green, and I'll walk you through sizes on this one. See, look at that. That's just like a long skinny strip. So crazy. All right, so both of these have flying geese. That was really weird, sewing flying geese out of flannel. And they're the same size. They end up being 3.5 by 6.25. Is that just kind of a funny combination there? But I sat there, I did the math, and that is what worked best for accommodating it being flannel. Like I said, it just did not want to, it's just not as crisp, but I guess I should know that because this is fluffy. Kind of makes me think of this is what working with wovens feels like, because it stretches a lot and it's kind of all over the place. This is kind of a jumble. This would be a 3.5-inch square. We don't need it for the solid sawtooth. Those 3.5-inch squares are going to be the corners in the middle here. And then we need 6.25 squares. And that is for the middle of the solid sawtooth star. So I just kind of cut a big batch of all of them just so I can just keep pulling from them. So we'll probably only get 2 squares out of that one. Okay, another funny thing I have to tell you while I'm cutting, and it's not very exciting to watch. I checked my emails this morning and this email popped up. Was this so funny? Paula, you are so funny. She's reminding me it's time to find my rulers for the video today. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So I love it when you guys email me. I really do. I love chatting with you and seeing what you guys have got going on. I love when you send me pictures of what you're working on. It's so much fun. But this one just made me absolutely laugh this morning. I just thought that was hilarious. Oh my gosh, good times. So, for the record, there's our long skinny, and there's our 4-inch square. Suspiciously, 2 of you knew that my long skinny one was hiding under my machine. It makes me a little suspicious. And I thought it was hilarious too because Sabine is a friend from Germany. And she goes, yes, I teleport and I hid your ruler. I thought that was hilarious too. You guys are so funny. I think you guys get my kind of humor and I'm so glad. All right, last one. This is the 4 1/4, and then I promise we will make one. That's why that little guy was out. So ultimately, I'm glad that you guys are just as silly as I am because it really keeps things interesting. So thanks for being amazing yet again. So that will be fabric for both versions of this star. So that's kind of how that's working. So 3 1/2-inch squares are for the diamond and the square. 4 1/4-inch squares are for the flying geese. And then you have 6 1/4-inch squares, but those are just the middle for the Sawtooth star. We are going to do both just because flying geese is so easy. So there is my 7 1/2-inch blue background. And then I have those for the corners. Then let's grab a 7 1/2-inch rainbow. Let's do a solid green star. So we'll need 4 of those for that. And let's do an orange diamond in a square. So we'll need 4. Heavens, I can't count. 4 of those. We'll need 4 of these one, the 4 1/4-inch for the flying geese. Hello. And then we have a 6 1/4-inch square for the middle in here. So we get to draw a bunch of diagonals now. But we know how to do that. We're going to flip it on the wrong side, draw a line corner to corner. I'm not going to make you watch it. So I actually have to keep cleaning all the fuzzies out of my marker. So there's one thing that's different about flannel. It's very fluffy and it wants to get stuck in my marker. Let's start off with the orange middle. Hopefully this is helpful and not confusing. This is how my brain works and it makes sense up here, but saying it out loud, I'm like, that is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So for the diamond in the square, we have our 3 1/2-inch squares and our 6 1/4-inch big square. We're going to put one of these in each of the corners. Because they're not close to each other, we can do opposites and they'll still be okay to trim and iron open because they're out of each other's way. So let's stick one on. Then we're going to move on to these flying geese. We're going to need 2 of the squares. Line them up in the corner there. And then we are going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of that diagonal. Let's do that. I did adjust my seam length to be a little bit smaller, hopefully just to help the flannel because flannel so easily frays. So I did a little bit smaller, hoping that it would just keep it all intact, but not too small because once we start running over like the clumps right here where all these points meet, then I think my machine would curse at me because that's too small of a stitch and too clumpy of a space. All scientific terms. Those are all legit. Let's get these green ones on this blue background. So this is why I like doing them all together because it's the same stitch. So I'm going to cut that one off. Gonna stick this one back in the machine, still stuck together, because now we're just gonna stitch on the other side of those lines. And we'll leave that one in there. And we'll add this other corner. So for me, that process is I get 2 stitches and then I have to trim. So what can I fit in that chain piecing? That is 2 stitches and a trim, and that would be the center. Okay, there's those ones. I don't know where my little scissors are. Oh, I have to stop saying that. Never mind, they were here the whole time. We're gonna trim right down the middle. And so you can see that even right here, that flannel like puckered a little. But that's why I made it bigger, because it will pucker. So this is why I'm curious and I want your honest opinion. Is this a thing or not? Not that I really care because I'm doing it, but I'm just curious. Is it a thing or not? There's those flying geese. Let's get a smaller ruler. We're going to trim 1/4 inch off of that seam to give us that seam allowance. And let's go iron all of these open, and especially careful because these will stretch and curl. So I talked for too long and my iron shut off. So now I have to wait for that to heat back up. But I thought while I had a second, I would let you know that I decided to leave the class tickets open. So the pre-order was really for the fabric, and so I am out of fabric and I can't offer any more, but there is nothing stopping me from continuing to offer class tickets. So I've decided to leave that open for the admission to the class, and the pattern is 25 bucks. You can come and chat in it, or you can just come and sit quietly and sew. There is no pressure to like socialize. I'll probably be weird enough and fill all the time anyways, but there's no pressure to chat. You can just come and hang out. All I have to do is mail you guys the pattern for that, and that's easy prep. So if you're still interested in joining, but maybe didn't want the fabric, or maybe you don't even want to come and sew that pattern at all, just come and join the class and hang out. I mean, what's stopping you, right? You will have access to the class. It'll be a private YouTube video, so you will be able to rewatch it if you do choose that you want to make it at another time as well. So anyways, I am not a good salesperson, and it actually like makes me feel all like crazy inside when I have to like pitch something, because I'm not good at it and that's not my personality. Just FYI. Okay, back to ironing. Okay, there are our pieces. There's our flying geese halfway through, ironed up and over. This green flannel was Hobby Lobby, and it did not like the ironing and it did not like the starch. So I am still using starch just to try to make it crunchy so that it won't want to stretch as much. But I'm not loving how that reacted to it. So that's going to be locked away in the old memory bank for future reference. I think it might be worth just to order bolts of flannel for my quilts. Someone did ask me about what kind of luck I've had with different flannels since I use it so much. So I think it might be worth just ordering flannel by the bolt. Do you guys use flannel? Or am I just crazy? Let's put the other side on for our diamond in a square. Got that one sewed. Now let's put another square in these flying geese. And again, sew on both sides. You're going to see that 3 more times. I should probably just magic through. Okay, there we have those done. Now we're going to trim on that line for these flying geese. And let's go press all of these open. now we get to trim all of these. So here's where you're either going to think I'm clever or crazy. Funny how those two are very similar. So typically I would say leave a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to leave more than that. So we're going to leave about 3/8 down at the bottom underneath our point. So where those squares intersected there. We're going to leave a bigger gap because by the time this gets sewed together then ironed up and over, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the thickness of the fabric or what, but it is much better so that we actually get points in our block. So the first tester one I did, I lost a lot of my points because I didn't adjust for the thickness of the fabric. So we are going to line that up with about 3/8. And down here at the bottom, because we want 3.5 by 6.25 inch flying geese, crazy number, I know. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to go to 6.5, and then I'm going to trim all the way around. Then rotate to our good side. Line this up with 3.5 by, 3.5 by 6.25 there, and we'll cut the extra off, giving us a big ol' flannel flying geese. You have to accommodate a little bit, but it can be done. Let me get through the rest of these flying geese, and then we will start assembling both of these blocks. And there we have all of our flying geese, nicely trimmed. And we have the softest scrap pile I've ever had. Let's put the orange one together and then we will move on to the blue one. I want all of my rainbows going the same direction, so I'm going to figure out where these need to go to get that. That's something that I like about doing flying geese 4 at a time. If you are wanting the pattern to go the same direction, you will have pieces that will go every direction so you can accommodate the same. Does that make sense? Sounded like nonsense, but I said it and hopefully you got it. Then we have these 2 corners, and I need 2 more, but I'll cut those when we magic here in a second. And then for this green, we need one of the 6.5 inch green middles. Same thing with the stripes. I want them all going the same direction. And my blues are going horizontally. So we're going to match that. And then we have our corner pieces. So there's really nothing special or new about any of these blocks, right? I just wanted to see if I could do piecing with flannel. And it can be done. You get some weird numbers to accommodate for things, but it can be done. So let's put these together. Let's add the last 2 squares, and then I'll put them together. Are you ready for this? Double magic fingers. Ta-da! Okay, so what's your opinion? Can you piece flannel or not? I'll give you a little close-up. That one did pretty good with keeping all of my points. It's this diamond in a square that gets a little hairy, but it's not too bad. But because we left that extra, you really can't tell that they don't line up. You know what I mean? I'm accommodating so you can't see my mistakes as badly. I like it. I think it's cute. Okay, yay or nay? Am I making it a thing? Or have I just lost it completely? Anyways, like I said, nothing really spectacular or special today. I just wanted to mess with flannel a little bit and see what I could get away with. I would really like to use all of these scraps because they're so dang cute. it's almost a shame that they get to sit there in a bucket and not be used. So I think I'm going to continue with it, but I do think that piecing it wasn't so bad. It wasn't as terrible as I thought it'd be. I think everything's terrible. I'm such a Debbie Downer. Anyways, we will see you on Thursday, friends, for our next buttoned up quilt block, which is the heart. I'm pretty sure. Why do you guys put up with me? I am 96% positive it's the heart that's coming up next, because we're doing easy, hard, easy, hard. Well, you know, you get the gist here. I will see you then. Goodbye.